What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Start Your Systems, and welcome back to another video in MX Bikes today, where we're going to be playing the 2022 WW Ranch track by KeLLz, or KeLLz Trackworks. This track is a lot of fun. We played it on a stream on our Twitch channel 5-6 days ago and had a blast riding with a bunch of people, and I felt like it deserved its own little video to chat about it, talk about how good this track flows, because man, this track has got some tremendous flow to it. Like, especially once you kind of like get the vibe flowing a little bit and just kind of know where to like apex into the turns and whatnot. Oh man, it just feels like you're connecting the lines so well. I've never been like a huge Florida track guy because it's obviously like flat and jumpy to a degree, a little bit sandy, but not really any elevation change. And of course, everybody that's any of you that have ever watched a video on this channel know that I love my elevation changes, but this track, despite not having too many elevation changes, really still has a lot of unique aspects and kind of just fun flow to it. So I felt like I needed to talk about it for a little bit of a video here today. I don't know that I've ever done a track by KeLLz before. If I have, I apologize that I don't remember which track it is, but definitely seems like he knows what he's doing when it comes to, you know, building good braking bumps into corners, when it comes to building ruts that kind of flow with the actual trajectory that you're entering a corner, instead of like just kind of laying random ruts and forcing you into those lines. Like, it really feels like, you know, you set yourself up for this corner down the inside and then this rut just actually appears there on the inside. I'm not going to hook it, of course, but, you know, just things like that, that it doesn't feel like it's forced necessarily, even though there are pre-made ruts on this track. I just like how that kind of ties in with the flow of the track as well. There's a couple big centers to flat that don't seem to really throw you off too much, even though there are some bumps that you can land on, and if you get it wrong, it's really not too bad. And then, of course, WW Ranch was a national track and a GP track for a couple of years there, from like 2015 to 2020. They don't go back there anymore after one of the hottest races maybe ever. That caused a couple of people to have some heat exhaustion. They kind of deterred back away from going to Florida in the summer, but I think that there's at least a chance that they still go back to a couple of tracks there in the future. Just not next year, of course, because it is the schedule for next year has already come out. But I do know that a lot of Florida Rippas still go to WW Ranch. I know Florida Track and Trail closed, but I heard it had reopened. And then there's Dade City MX, and there's a couple other ones that are just, you know, kind of smattered across the state that a lot of people go to and ride and have a good time. And of course, Florida, for anybody that doesn't really know anything about pro motocross or supercross, Florida is really becoming the new hotbed for I guess just motocross athletes to go and train at. Like, it for a long time, you know, it had a couple of the big names like the Stewarts and the Reeds and the Carmichaels or whatever, but now, like, there's the Alden Baker facility, there's the 83 facility, Tyler Rattray's place was there for a while, Jack Chambers has a place down there. I'm probably missing so many more. Justin Barsha is, I think, technically just over the Florida-Georgia line, but he's down there. Obviously, the Star Racing Yamaha track is also in Georgia, but it's like right there by Florida as well. So, yeah, it's just this is the hotbed for training and preparing for motocross and supercross these days, and I wonder if that slowly turns into where kind of like the majority of the motocross industry ends up over the next couple decades. And if so, maybe WW Ranch in the future becomes one of those tracks that a lot of people ride and train at, and so on and so forth. So yeah, kind of a unique synopsis of maybe looking into the future of motocross and supercross. But back to this track, back to the flow of this track. KeLLz said that he worked on this track for about a year, so he put quite a bit of time into it. The track obviously changed a couple times over that iteration. This is not the exact same track design that was raced professionally, of course, and this is also not the same track design that you'll see maybe even if you go now, or maybe if you've been recently or something like that. I know that this track does change up a little bit, but it's pretty much a staple at this point, this long first turn right here and so on and so forth. So, but yeah, WW Ranch is it's a cool track for sure. Kind of wish that we still did go to Florida, or at least somewhere into the South, because obviously that's missing such a key component of the motocross and supercross audience. Like, a lot of people that live in the southern states are big into riding and racing and stuff like that, and obviously GNCCs and stuff have become so popular over the last decade or so that a lot of guys just do like the woods racing and stuff like that. But there's still a lot of, you know, core motocross guys in the state of Florida, Georgia, and you know, down that area. So a little bit of a bummer that we don't go to this track anymore, but I also see the reasons why they don't. And maybe if we could start the season here, it wouldn't be terrible, but a lot of teams still base their facilities out of California, and they like to start and or end in California. And last year we started and ended in California, and we'll do the same this year as well. So it's the way it works, the way that the industry kind of unfolds things. It's not always the decision of the race promoters to decide where everything goes. They like to try to keep some history and try to kind of keep the teams and everybody happy as well. And it's just the way that sometimes it unfolds that we don't get to go to places like this anymore. But like I said, it is still a big local track. I think they actually still do a few like semi-big races here. I don't know the amateur scene well enough to know if they have an AMNAT here or not, but I know that they do some racing here, at least to a degree. At least I've seen some of it. And yeah. So we'll try to burn a couple more laps around this track. I feel like this is one of the tracks lately that kind of reinvigorated my feelings and comfort in MX bikes. We did like a 3-hour live stream, like I said, a few nights ago, and I was trying to kind of like relearn the game, try to feel a little bit more comfortable with it. And god awful at Supercross right now, but stepping back out onto an outdoor track like this, a little bit high speed, more about kind of flowing the lines together, not trying to necessarily push the pace as much as it is just trying to hit your marks and hit your lines in the corners and stuff like that. It really made me feel a lot more comfortable on this game, I should say, again. So when I jumped back over to Supercross later that night, I was pretty happy with my abilities feeling-wise in this game, and I owe this track a thanks. So appreciate KeLLz for making a track that I feel at least half decent on, because I'm only, I think, like 10 seconds off the world record on this track with my 154, I think, that I've done. So not terrible, especially considering when I ride Supercross, I'm like 25 seconds off the pace. So we're getting there. We're picking up the vibes. We're throwing it down. We'll see if I still am able to do some racing here in the next year. Show off some of these talents. Ooh, a little bit sideways right there. Really exciting to work towards the new year as well. Of course, the SYS Racing MX Bikes team, we're working hard on getting stuff done. Tyler Moore does a great job running our SYS Racing team. And I got some new faces that we're going to show off here soon once we kind of have the whole team pack and everything ready to go. So that'll be exciting. And of course, if you've been following us at all this week, we just unveiled our 2023 SYS Racing MX Simulator bikes. And you got to meet Ethan Parks of the SYS Racing team through the Road to A1 series that Alex Heckman has been doing. So cool to kind of spread the love a little bit amongst our team members that you guys don't always get to see. I feel like sometimes we're a little bit, kind of just me producing content and not always getting to talk to our esport players, but they exist. And I want to do a third-person lap here, so I need to go and change my lateral offset back to that so that we can actually see where we're going. Still jumping back and forth between third and first person here every now and again. Pretty much third person if I want to just go out there and throw whips and have a good time. First person if I'm trying to actually burn some decent laps on the track. But what bums me out about third person now is that I feel like I'm absolutely cooking in first person. Then I go play third person and I'm like, man, I don't actually look like I'm riding all that fast. And I'm also not riding as well because I'm better in first person, but just bums me out. Like, I feel like I should go to third person and expect to like look pretty fast based on how I'm feeling in first person. And then I just look like total trasho. But I guess that's what I get for constantly switching back and forth. Everybody that's really, really good at this game for the most part sticks to like one thing, unless you're like Connor Linz, and he jumps back and forth quite a bit, of course. But it's also the same problem that I have, where I'm trying to produce content that looks appetizing to you guys to actually watch. And so I have to feel like cater to that a little bit, where I'm trying to show off the third person side of it to the third person players, the first person side of it to the first person players, and to a degree make everybody happy. Throw it into this corner, front tire tuck. Through here. Inside rut is my vibe in that corner in first person. Not too bad in third person, getting through it nicely. I like this little like floater right there. You kind of like scrub over it. Oh, and then we get sideways and go off into the crowd. Right through the audience members right there. I like on this track too how he kind of made the ability to like hop through the braking bumps a little bit. Like, it's not the easiest thing to do, but like you can kind of like tire tap through them. You can like kind of double through them a little bit, carry momentum. And I like that just because it's a different option. Instead of just like hard attacking them, you can kind of rhythm race it a little bit And if you're more comfortable doing that, there are both options. I like tracks that present the ability to players that are not faceted at all skill sets of the game to still have some fun. To a degree, you have to learn everything in this game, right? But to be able to kind of hop through the bumps versus charging the bumps is just something small that, like, if you're still learning the game and all you know is kind of bouncing through a corner or something like that, maybe the hopping through the bumps method is something that's a little bit better for you because you feel like a little bit more planted to the ground versus treating them like real braking bumps or like a whoop section where you're skating into the corner a little bit and you're not as planted into the corner, which makes it a little bit tougher to get into a rut, for example. So good options available on this track, and just a nice overall track by KeLLz here. Like I said, just felt like it needed its own video. It needed someone to give it a little bit of love, a little bit of talk about it. Still crashing like an idiot in MX bikes here, but we're getting better. We're working there. We'll get there when it's time. Putting in more hours to this, putting in more hours into this, into sim as well. And one way or the other, I will race a pro race in either this or sim again. We'll see what happens first at this point, because I'm really putting a lot more hours into both of them. So really, whatever I get good enough at to qualify for a pro race is what ends up happening first. So I'm excited to see which one it ends up being. But I appreciate you guys stopping by, watching another video here on Start Your Systems. Hopefully you guys are enjoying your Thursday afternoons, wherever you are, Thursday evenings, depending on where you are in the world. Maybe it's already Friday morning for you. But hope you guys have a good one, and we look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. So long for now.